Hi there, happy Sunday, or whenever you're listening to this, and we have reached the end. After how many years?
I think it's nine because
Is
they
it
went a
nine?
year without a season. So 8 seasons, one a year, but skipping a year.
So 9 years of Game of Thrones. By the way, this is Phil, and
This is Pete.
yeah, so thanks everyone who listened to us this last season, to our little recap slash review, spoiler reviews of Game of Thrones. But yeah, this is it, guys. The end of Game of Thrones. The journey is over, and we're gonna give our thoughts on it. I'm positive there's gonna be a lot of pissed off people.
Yes.
Even I got a little pissed off this
People
time.
people were
Yes.
already pissed off.
Yes.
The only thing I would hope that if they were that pissed off that they just kind of sat this one out because
Yes.
they knew it was going to drive them crazy.
Yes.
But fanboys aren't like that. They'll watch something just to say how much they hate it and
Oh
how bad
yeah.
it was.
Exactly. No, I get it. Also, you have so much time invested in something that it's hard sometimes to give up on it. I was a little bit like that with The Walking Dead. The season 7 and 8 were horrendous for me, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I
But I
kind of
was,
struggled through Walking
yeah,
Dead for a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I was so committed to the characters. But then I gave myself an ultimatum. I said, if season 9 sucks as bad as season 7 and 8, I'm done with this show. And it didn't. It was one
Yeah, it
of the
was
best
actually better.
seasons.
They
Yeah.
improved.
So I get that side of it, that you invested so much time and thought in, because this is one of those shows that really is in the same vein as Lost and even maybe the X Files, where there's the fan theories are sometimes even more interesting and broader than even the show. And people would just invest so much into it, and making podcasts like these, and writing fan fiction and debating what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. And then it's almost impossible, and it's almost actually, it kind of happened with Lost and the X Files, where you're going to be let down.
Right.
The writer has an idea of where they want to go, and sometimes they don't
Yeah,
have an
sometimes they
idea.
don't. Yeah.
And it's almost a letdown waiting to happen. So Game of Thrones, I tried my best to just enjoy those fan theories, and I really did enjoy some of them, but also just take it for what it was. And these last two seasons have been fun. They've been entertaining. I don't think it's as deep as earlier seasons, and as um, intricate as earlier seasons, but
Right.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Did you enjoy these last couple seasons?
Yeah, I did. I thought they were excellent. And the thing is, like, it spent so much time building towards Daenerys getting to Westeros and the Walkers reaching the Wall. I mean, it was about time, you know. The last 2 seasons were all about, okay, we've built up for now 6 years. Now it's time to get on.
Yeah, let's bust our load.
And one of the complaints is that it was a bit rushed, and okay, that's a fair complaint. There were only 7 episodes in season 7 and 6 episodes in season 8, but at the same time it had been building for so long, and people were complaining, it's dragging. So I mean, make up your mind.
Mhm.
I was for one, am glad that they moved things along at a good clip like they did.
No, I did too. And like you, I totally get people's complaint when they say it's rushed, and I feel the same way. But it's rushed, but at the same time, I don't. Even if they had taken, I don't know, maybe they added one extra episode. I think just like an extra hour to have some sit down, old school Game of Thrones, where people just sit in rooms and talk. Um, yes, I think I would have felt better about some of the stuff that did happen, but the same stuff would have happened, I think.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to fill in the blanks, maybe wait for the books. But it's not like anything that happened was completely out of character for any of the characters. No,
Yeah,
I think,
some people would argue that. I'm
yeah,
not
some
one of
people
them.
would argue that. That's when I'm like, come on, you guys are just being like crybabies
Yeah.
because, Daenerys burned the town down and Jamie left Brienne. Okay, I can totally dig Jamie leaving Brienne. Would I have liked a little bit more setup, a little bit more contemplation before that? Yes, of course, and maybe even with Daenerys, but that was set up to happen from the start. So I'm happy with it. One of the best shows, I still think. I don't think this season takes it down any from any greatest of all time ranking. I'd probably put it up there with 10 best of all time.
Yeah, it elevated it for me. I mean, it was already, I think, in my top 10 of all time, but I would say it's been elevated probably to the top five, maybe even
Wow.
top three.
Wow. What's your top three?
Um, Ahead of this, the only ones I would put ahead of this would be Breaking Bad and The Sopranos.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I mean, The Sopranos for me is number one. You can't touch it. I just rewatched it, I think last year or the year before, and it's just impeccable. Uh, and as much as I enjoyed Breaking Bad, I don't think I'd put it in my personal top five, but yeah, it deserves to be up there. But Game of Thrones, just production wise, everything that it did, how it changed. I mean, it's a game changing show,
Yeah,
just like The Sopranos were. I mean, I don't know how many other series would be able to do what Game of Thrones does different than The Sopranos. The Sopranos opened it up as far as writing and
yeah,
character studies, shows with character studies, and shows where you don't know who's the gray area. I mean, it
yeah.
changed stuff on a much more on a level which I think is easier.
And the way it developed story arcs too. The
Yes, yeah.
story arcs in The Sopranos were always they started like so innocently,
Hmm.
and they would build in intensity over
Yeah.
time. And when they wrapped up, they always exploded. Like
Yes.
it wasn't okay. Like we know what's
Well,
this
which
is
Game
where
of
this.
Thrones does.
Yeah,
Yes. I think it's easier to copy what The Sopranos did as far as game changing on a writing level. Not so much what Game of Thrones did, just on everything,
the
production.
production values were
Yes.
insane.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a show like Game of Thrones again. Even the prequel, I don't know. I mean, HBO's got a lot of fucking dough, but I don't know how much they can even come close to the production value of Game of Thrones, because there were like mini movies, so many of
Yeah,
these. I mean,
yeah.
this whole
And now
last
these
season.
guys are apparently going to do a Star Wars trilogy, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think I heard it was something of the Rebels. Something that's already out. And I did read something funny because of the people that don't like these guys as far as after they ran out of source material. They
Right.
said the silver lining of the Star Wars thing is that I think they're adapting something that's already out there into the movies. So okay, good for them. But that was good. It was good. So we'll talk a little bit more about how we feel about the series as a whole and maybe this season as we go through this podcast. But let's get to it, guys. We broke it down to a few topics here, and we're just going to give our thoughts. So the show, well, not the show, the episode began right where the last one ended, the aftermath of the burn, which was really nicely shot. I love that gray color. They do that gray color so well.
Yes, yes. It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah. And bodies strewn across the street, and Tyrion goes down to find Jamie and
Cersei.
Cersei,
Yeah.
which I thought was touching, man. I wasn't feeling Cersei's death that much. It was very anticlimactic, especially how much, just because of who Cersei was. That
Yeah.
was my favorite character on
Yeah,
the.
people were looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing her get it, and
Yeah.
instead, like, she gets probably the nicest death she could possibly have under the
Yeah.
circumstances.
No, definitely. So, but watching that scene, it kind of made me feel a little bit emotional about how she did die. So it was a nice touch. It was a nice touch that they didn't just leave it at that of just, the walls fell on her head. It gave a little bit more of an emotional impact than Tyrion in that scene was great.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, he's such a great actor.
He's
He
excellent.
sold that. He sold me caring about the fact that Cersei, like rocks fell on her head. So I like that they put that in there. But then we do see the shift, right? We see Daenerys give that
She gives
speech.
a Joseph Stalin style
Yes,
speech.
yeah, yeah, about freeing the people. And last week Pete and I we were watching some George Carlin, and he has a bit about the language, right? And how there's crime fighters and firefighters, and then there's always freedom fighters, and nobody asks what they're fighting, right? And
Yeah.
she
She was a freedom
yeah,
fighter.
she was definitely a freedom fighter, and she just said, we're gonna free all the kingdoms.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna be in charge of it all.
And the best was just the looks on Tyrion and Jon's face through it all, because they're like, "Yo, this bitch is
Did they
crazy."
even understand what she? I think they just actually got the context because she was speaking Valyrian.
Yeah, I don't know if Jon understood because afterwards Jon Snow, man. Okay, anyway, we'll talk about Jon Snow a little bit,
I
but
think they just got the gist
no,
from her
Tyrion
body
got it.
language.
Yeah, from his body language. Tyrion speaks a little bit. He
Right.
gets it kind of wrong sometimes, but he speaks
That's
a little
right.
bit.
Yeah, in the last episode,
Yeah.
he tried.
Yeah. But he understands a little bit of it. And Jon, I don't know if he speaks the language, but he definitely, and we're going to get to that next about their little scene together. But Jon seemed kind of clueless still. And Tyrion's like, did that look like she was done fighting?
Yeah.
Does she look like she's done fighting and she's ready to just chill on the throne?
Yeah.
And definitely not. But cool scene. Very well. Again, I mean, you can't fault the fucking direction in the production. I mean, it was just a beautiful shot of, all her soldiers out there and her just being extremely militant and totally not in touch with reality.
Yeah. She was like Palpatine presiding over the clone army.
Man, and when she walked out and the dragon's wings came up.
Yes, that was an excellent shot.
That was a nice touch. No, they do stuff like that so well on this show. But after that scene happens, then we get a little bit. Well, Tyrion says, "Fuck this," and he throws his.
Tyrion takes off the badge of the hand, throws it at her feet. But I think he pretty much resigned himself to the fact that if he lived through the experience, he was probably going to be called out for being a traitor, for letting Jaime go. So I think he knew that was coming, and there was no way he was going to continue to serve her after what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he stood up to her, threw down his badge, and said, "Take this job and shove it."
Pretty much, and I guess I would have. Well, I don't know if I would have done the same. I'd be scared.
Yeah,
if
that
I were
bitch
Tyrion.
is crazy.
No, I think I even said to you while he was walking through King's Landing, I said he better just get his ass out of there. That's what I would have done. Just hightailed my ass somewhere.
Yeah.
Really, really far.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with this woman. So then, yes, we do get a Tyrion and Jon scene when because Tyrion does get locked up. And I did think it was odd that they would let Jon down there to talk to him.
Right.
Considering how Tyrion is a traitor, and there's the whole thing with Jon being the rightful heir, but whatever. I mean, those are the things people obviously are going to complain about.
Right.
But he was down there by himself talking to Tyrion, and Tyrion gave a nice speech. Again, Tyrion saved this episode. His lines of dialogue, everything were really great, and he gave a great speech about, wake up, motherfucker. I mean,
you're next.
You're next. Yeah. And Jon's like, no. And then he's like, what about your sisters?
Yeah.
And I think that's what got Jon on his side. Like, what I'm asking you to do is kill her. Which, I don't want to jump ahead too much because we are going to get to who the new king was. I mean, if you watched it, you know. But let me ask you, Pete. The whole point of conspiring against Dany, even before all this shit happened, even back when Varys was talking about it, wasn't it so that Jon would become the motherfucking king because he has the rightful blood lineage?
That was how it was from Varys's and I think Tyrion's point of view too. The problem is though, if Jon does the deed and gets caught, that's that. We didn't actually see how he got caught, but we know he does the deed and he gets caught. He's in such a bad bargaining position with the Unsullied because they want his fucking head.
Yeah.
So if they have to choose a king to settle his fate, he can't be the king. It's catch-22 situation.
Yeah, I guess you can't get caught when you're killing the person. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was any moment in the show where somebody that wanted to be king just killed the other person and took the crown as like lawfully theirs.
The closest was actually the Iron Islands when Euron whacked his uncle. But
Yeah, but he did it
even
in
then, they had to
secret.
go through a process. Yeah, that's true. He didn't actually get
But then
caught.
later,
Everyone knew he did it, but he
yeah,
didn't
but
get
then
caught.
later he said he did it, right?
And the Iron Islanders are weird that way. They kind of respect that shit.
Yeah, yeah. So who knows? I mean, that kind of fucked with my
Yeah.
head a little bit because it kind of threw away the whole
Because the thing is,
scheme.
he didn't have any backing. Everyone in the capital was Danny's. It was the Unsullied and the
Yes. No, that's
Dothraki.
true. That's true.
So I mean, it's not like he could just kill her and take the throne.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway.
That's one of the reasons why I thought it was going to be one of the Stark sisters to do her in.
But here we go. So obviously we've been talking about it already. So Daenerys is dead.
And she went quick.
And she went quick. There were a few theories and even a few spoilers. I had said that she was probably going to be dead in the first 20 minutes. I think she lasted until about minute 40 or 38 or something. But I thought it was, again, well done. It harkened back. And again, I was going to say a bad word, but all you fanboys out there who don't get that Dee was going to do what she did, that scene where she's walking into the fucking throne room
Yeah.
is way back from season 2 or 3 when she's in this city. I forgot the name now. But
Karth.
Is it when they capture her
Yeah.
dragons?
Yeah.
And then she has to go into
That's
this
in season
weird...
2, yeah.
Yeah, she goes into this weird... like this sorcerer's room. It's like this circular thing, and she goes inside, and she sees all these visions, and she has a vision of this. I mean, it's just like Bran had the vision of the dragon over King's Landing, and guess what? We got a dragon over King's Landing. She had that vision way back in season 2 of getting into the throne room, and it was all snowy. It's just that back then we figured it was because the Night King, the Night King had come down, winter had arrived, and he had fucking demolished all of civilization, including King's Landing. But no.
It turns out she did it.
Yeah, it turns out she did it. It wasn't snow, it was ash. So, man, I mean, this was set up from way back in the day that she was going to do this, okay?
Yeah.
This is definitely something that she was going to do. And I even thought she wasn't going to touch it, because in that vision she had, she gets close to touching the throne, and then boom, she gets sent somewhere else, and I think she meets up with Drogo in the afterlife, whatever.
Yeah, she never got to sit on the throne either. All that work, she made her dream come true. She got her kingdom, and she didn't even get to sit on the goddamn throne.
I know. So in a way, the vision was true, because she didn't. She got close to touching it in the vision. I mean, this one she touched it in real life, but she didn't get to sit on it. Because in comes Jon. And man, I almost thought he was going to fall for it. When it's like, I love you, and blah, blah, blah. And bow.
Yep. Yeah, when he kissed her there, I figured that was pretty much the kiss of death. And it turned out to be true. My only complaint with Daenerys' death scene is I think it would have been nice to see her at least try and explain what the fuck was going through her head when she went full Targaryen on the town.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if she was going to explain it to anyone, it would have been to Jon. And that would have been the time for that scene. But they chose not to do that, which was disappointing.
Well, they did it with... Actually, in Tyrion and Jon's scene, it was actually Jon that was trying to explain to Tyrion. He said, she had her dragon killed, and Melisandre got beheaded. So you have to understand, and Tyrion's like, are you kidding me? Like, would you have done it?
Yeah.
And he didn't answer. So I guess that's how they tried to do it.
Right.
To try to explain. But I agree with you. It would have been nicer had it come from her own mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what was going through her head, but it would have been nice to hear like what she had to say on the subject.
And I guess she didn't have to say anything.
Yeah,
she was nuts. She just went berserko. So there was nothing more that she could say to explain her state of mind.
Right.
Because she was like, because he even said, but there were children. And she was like, man, but I freed them. I freed them all.
Yeah.
And then she was ready to go free everybody else. It sounded like a serial killer, where there's like, kill little kids, and I freed their little angel souls. I freed them. Oh, that was scary. That was definitely super scary. So he kills her, and Drogon, whatever, the big ass, the head dragon,
Hmm.
gets real angry,
And melts the Iron Throne.
which was
That
awesome.
that was actually one of the maybe the high point of the episode, because for so long, the end game that we've been conditioned to expect is who sits on the Iron Throne, like literally physically sits on the throne, and that was just a big fuck you to everyone, saying nobody,
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
nobody sits on. Well, it broke the wheel. When that happened, I was like, "That's how you break the wheel. You got to
Yeah.
break that fucking throne." And it was tense. I like that scene. Because I figured the dragon wasn't gonna burn John, but at the same time I was like, what's the dragon gonna do? Because we know John's got Targaryen blood. We know there's a connection with the dragon. And for a second I thought, okay, the dragon's gonna join John or something. I don't know what was gonna go down. But it was so cool to just see him be so angry. But it's almost like the dragon understood.
Yeah.
Like he understood this bitch is crazy, man. I got you. I mean I love her just like you do, but I know why you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
And here's an extra little thing. I'm just gonna burn this throne because that's what probably drove her crazy. So
Yeah.
that was all good. No, the first half of this episode I loved.
Yeah.
I gave it like a 10. I liked it. And then after, yeah, I'm not so keen on, which
Okay.
is what happens after. So we have the trial. So it just kind of skips forward in time a little bit. Like
Yeah,
Pete
somehow or
said.
another, John managed to get himself caught. I don't
Yeah,
know
which I
how,
don't know
because
how.
the dragon flies off with the
Yeah,
body.
there was nobody there. You could have just said she. I mean, there was a
Yeah,
blood stain.
Daenerys? Nope, haven't seen her.
Yeah, I mean, there was a blood stain, but you know, I could have covered it up. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess they have Ajax or something.
Yeah.
Some Clorox bleach on that shit. But he could have just said she flew off. She went totally nuts. She was sorry for what she did, and she
Yeah,
flew
and by
off
the
with
way,
the
she left
dragon.
me in charge.
Yeah, I don't get that, but whatever. So I guess, well, maybe it's because it's Honest John. Maybe
Yeah,
he
yeah,
went there.
maybe. He probably told them.
And again, and that's where I mean, I get the complaints. All he had to do was add one line of dialogue. Just him walking down the hill and suddenly, I killed the queen. Boom. You know, that would have just fixed all of that. But there he is. He's locked up, but Tyrion's on trial. And then all of a sudden, everybody shows up. It was like the end of Seinfeld, where all the characters you forgot about just showed up
Yeah,
for the trial.
Edmure.
And that was a trial too, right? The last episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So all these characters showed up. Guys I thought were dead.
Yeah, Edmure. I forgot about
Yeah,
that guy.
they got a haircut. The little wimpy kid from what's the name of that castle? That's all the way River. No, not River Run. The one where with the moon. The moon.
Oh, the Airy.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Robin.
showed. He showed
Robin
up.
of the Vale.
Yeah, the veil. You know, and
Yeah.
he's all growing up, and I'm like, oh shit, this little kid's still around.
I didn't recognize him not sucking on his mom's tit.
I know, but he matured at least. It seemed like he
Yes.
matured a little bit, which was nice. Yeah, that was just weird, like how, you know, after Daenerys dies and there's this time skip, like what happened? Like, did Grey Worm just take charge? How did they get everybody together? It was a little jarring to just see them all there.
Yeah, I think it was everybody's intention to come south once the capital fell anyway, to usher in the new government, blah blah blah. So yeah, I think because as they say, these are the most powerful people in Westeros. They kind of have a responsibility to be there
To
in the
just be there.
aftermath, no
All
matter
right, so
what.
they were all there in the dragon pit. We got to see the Greyjoy girl again.
Yara.
Yara.
Yeah.
And they tried to add a little bit of tension with her saying, I felt I knelt down. I kneeled to Daenerys, and
Cersei was a bitch. She
and
got
Cersei
rid
was
of her.
a bitch. So, yeah, so she wanted Tyrion dead, and it was kind of interesting to see them try to add a little bit of tension, but I didn't feel any. And Grey Worm definitely wanted Tyrion dead.
Yeah, I think he actually showed remarkable restraint once. Basically, like once Daenerys dies, he's in charge. He's like
Exactly.
commander of the armed
Yeah, he could have
forces.
just killed
I'm
him.
surprised that Tyrion and Jon didn't get summarily executed.
Yeah, on the spot.
Yeah, because he was having a good old time with that before. So
Exactly. So I didn't quite get that. That whole setup for me was a little off. I didn't really dig it too much. But then Tyrion gave a nice speech about, who should be ruler. Sam, thought about democracy for a second,
yeah, and
but
everyone laughed. That was great.
and everybody laughed. And again, I mean, I get what you said. If the king gets caught, well, not the king, but the person trying to be king gets caught killing the king, of course that would
Well,
be
the thing
reason.
is,
But the thing is, he's the rightful fucking.
yes, but
It's
the whole point,
different.
the whole reason they're even deciding a king is because okay, like Grey Worm's in charge, and everyone's like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah.
We need a king.
Yeah.
But why do they need a king? They need a king to decide what Jon and Tyrion's fate is going to be, and you can't make Jon the king to decide his own fate. That just
But you can because he is the king. That's the only thing. It's like I'm going back to what you said, and it makes sense. But then I just thought, but he's the rightful heir, and in a way, you could say that, hey, I was killing this bitch who she was the one that was being treacherous against me, because I'm the
yeah,
rightful
but
heir.
good luck selling that to the Unsullied.
Yeah, but the Unsullied didn't kill him. And he had enough time now with enough support from everybody, from his sister that knows, the two sisters know, Sam knows. Obviously, it's spread around to everybody else. Nobody even brought it up.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to avoid though is like all out war between the Unsullied and the Northerners, because that's what Davis speaks up and says like
Yeah,
how
but
this ends, man. It's gonna
yeah,
be
the
another
war would have
bloodbath.
been if they had chopped his head off. But I don't know how much they could have done if they just said, hey, this is the king of the seven kingdoms up to that point. And all right, Unsullied, you got maybe 500 men left, 1,000. Let's see how you're gonna do against all the seven kingdoms in their rightful king. I don't know. Anyway, it rubbed me the wrong way, but I get your point. If I want to kill you, Pete, because I feel I want to be king, of course, if I get caught, I'm gonna go to jail. But if I'm the rightful heir by blood, and you're just claiming you are because you also have blood, blah 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 blah, and I kill you, I'm I'm just taking my spot. Like, yo, bitch, move out the way, right? Like that old song, Ludacris, bitch, move out the way. So whatever. The fact that they didn't even mention it. I mean, you got all the powerful people there who know the truth. And I get John doesn't want to be king, and he could have denied it and said, no, thank you. Well, first, thank you for getting me out of jail, but two, I don't want to be the king. But I don't know. Anyway, so instead, we get the most, and you and I were debating this today on Facebook. For me, the most useless character in this motherfucking series, which had he fallen out that window and died, it would have changed absolutely nothing about this series and the result of this series.
Except for the end.
Yeah, except for the end, of course. So they had to do something with him. Yeah, that's why I guess this is D&D being subversive and trying to surprise and shock. We get Bran is the new king. And man, I had read theories about this maybe even a year ago, and I was like, nah, Bran. But yeah.
Yeah, the possibility I think always existed, so it wasn't completely out of left field. And with what they had to choose from, and because they were going to pick somebody at the table, that was pretty clear. So it's what they had to choose from. It made sense. I mean, I honestly thought Edmure was going to nominate Sansa, but she's all about doing her own thing with the North. So
Well, it sounded like he was going to nominate himself. That's why she told him to sit down. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, but yeah. So of the people available, I mean, from a strictly from a lineage standpoint, Gendry obviously had the best
Yeah,
claim.
I'm sorry to interrupt again. That's another thing. I think I said that while it was going on. I was like, or Gendry. I mean,
Yeah,
somebody, you're all busting your heads, scratching your heads to try to figure out who the new king is. Bloodline. One, you got Jon Snow, but okay, I can see Pete's point. He can't rule on himself, and he did kill the queen. But you got Gendry. Gendry is the son of Baratheon. I mean, he was the king. Baratheon. So
yeah.
and the fact that they don't even bring it up and they're having this big debate about who's going to be the next thing. Look, he's sitting right there in front of you and he's just as humble. He's just as much somebody that maybe doesn't want power, doesn't seek power. He'd be a perfect choice. Instead, you get this fucker who's like out in La La Land half the time. Like, how the fuck is he going to rule? But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, that's fine. That's it. I think, strictly in terms of lineage, I think Gendry was probably the best choice. It would have been a major surprise and probably would have pissed people off just as much as picking Brandon. But they do also make a point of stating like we're getting away from this whole bullshit lineage thing because it's gotten us just a succession of fuck ups for kings. So
Yeah.
from now on, we're the people of Westeros, or the lords and ladies of Westeros, are going to come here when it's time and choose a king rather than follow this fucked up lineage bullshit.
Yeah, I get you. But they could have said that to fucking Gendry. Like, look, just because you have a kid doesn't mean he's gonna be.
Well, that's the thing though with Gendry. That was pretty much all he had. The Baratheon name. That was it. I
Mm,
think Tyrion nominates Bran because, like you said, it's a great story.
mm-hmm.
He's been through
Hell and back.
everything.
Huh.
Yeah, he's got these rare and unusual abilities. So I think in terms of if you take lineage out of the equation, I think Bran was probably the best
Oh
available
yeah,
choice of the
yeah,
people they had at the table.
yeah. And then he gives that smug answer. Why do you think I came down here? Because Tyrion's like, I know you don't want it, but will you accept? And he's
Yeah.
like, and it was like, come on. I mean, I don't know. I can't say I was never a Bran fan. I liked the beginning of the Bran story, but they just got really convoluted around season 5, 6.
He
And
was in like throughout
actually, he
most of
wasn't.
the early episodes, the early seasons. He's a very very minor presence.
Yeah, yeah. No, actually, I don't even think he was in season 5 because I just rewatched it. Yeah, he wasn't in season 5 at all. He was heavy in season 6 because that's when he reached was that the Red Raven, that old guy.
Yeah,
And so they had a lot of his visions and everything kind of came into play a little bit more in the storyline, and then he met the Night King, and so he was a lot in season 6. It got really fantasy level in season 6 with him, but which were really cool. I like those parts. I like those parts of the show, but I don't think I was ever a huge Bran fan. And again, a non-issue for the story because, like I was telling you, Sam and Gilly, or whatever her name is, Gilly? Yeah, they
yeah.
found out about John's lineage. And then John's lineage had absolutely zero impact. Well, no, I can't say that. I can't
That's
say that.
one of the things that drove Danny crazy.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, no, it drove her crazy, but it seemed like she was willing to look past it. It really
yeah.
did. It really did. Like she was willing to look past it, even with that last scene when they were together, and she was totally just in that, like, it's still in love, and she was like, "Let's do this together. Let's take over the." So in a way, yeah, it didn't drive her crazy. I think other things drove her crazier than John. I think it would have affected John a bit more because she probably, Sansa wouldn't have bowed down to her. Arya was just going to go off into the wherever. I think her biggest issue would have just been the North. The North probably would not recognize her as queen, and possibly they would bring up the John thing, which would have caused a whole big conflict if the show had gone on in a different direction. But yeah, like for me, like his lineage, yeah, didn't really play that much of a part in the end. It didn't. It was neither here nor there. But anyway, Yeah, so Bran is your new king, guys. Bran is the king. I mean, like, love it or hate it, probably hate it. I wasn't too happy with it, but okay, it is what it is. And then what happens to the Unsullied?
Yeah, the Unsullied sail off for their island. I forget which island they're sailing for, but yeah, you won't see them no more. They left peacefully, angry, unsatisfied, on their own for the first time. An army with no,
With no dicks.
yeah, with, well, that's not what I was gonna say, but yeah, an army with no purpose, no commander, no mission. So yeah, they just kind of ride off into the sunset, really.
Pretty much. I mean, because they really wanted to kill John,
Yeah,
but they didn't let him kill John. And it's kind of the end of them, because they can't procreate.
yeah.
So it's the last we'll see of them. And they,
And soldiering, well, it's the last we see of anyone because it's
well, yeah.
yeah.
No, but at least some of the, and we'll get to the other stories, at least you have this idea of like, they could have more adventures. They could do like a
Yeah.
spin off series with these other guys. The Unsullied just kind of go off, which helped to explain, because for me, the biggest issue, and I think I might have talked about it last podcast, was okay, John kills Danny, or anybody kills her. Like, what do you do afterwards? She's got all her soldiers there. She's got the Dothraki. She's got the Unsullied. She's got the dragon. So I liked how they resolved the dragon. He
Yeah,
takes
he just
her.
flies away.
Yeah, and I guess that's how they resolve how the hell the Unsullied leave, because they do have no purpose. But we did see Dothraki chilling up in the
Yeah.
north. They stuck around. They're like, we like this place. So not everybody went back home. So they're out there. It was okay. I was surprised Grey Worm survived to the end.
Yes, that was highly improbable.
Hmm.
I figured if there was to be any action scenes in this episode, and it was dubious because I think they got pretty much everything in last episode. But if there was, it was going to be a showdown between John and Grey Worm, and Grey Worm was going to buy the farm. But goddamn, he lived.
Yeah, he lived. I mean, he got stronger. I mean, he was very sinister the last couple episodes. Even
Yeah,
this
well,
episode where, well, he went after
after
his queen. Yeah.
after Missandre got decapitated, he was out for blood.
Yeah, and he was killing the Lannister soldiers, and he was about to cut the one neck, and John grabbed his arm. Oh, excuse me. And you thought he was going to go down,
Yeah.
but he kind of backed off a little bit. But all right, I'm happy for them. And then we have some more resolutions here. We got the small council because Bran did make Tyrion his hand,
Yes,
which I
yes.
thought was great.
Tyrion lived to the end, which
I'm glad.
he had good chance to, but he's my favorite character. He deserved to live. I think his story arc is very underappreciated. People talk about how Arya went through all this shit, and it was pretty amazing, and Jamie's whole thing. But at the start of the series, Tyrion is basically without direction. He's he's a rich kid. He's a lord from the wealthiest house in Westeros, but he's still an outcast because he's a dwarf and his father hates him. So he's resigned himself to this kind of meaningless life of spending his money whoring, gambling, and drinking. And somewhere along the way, he finds a purpose and winds up becoming one of the most influential people in Westeros. And yeah, he deserved his end because not only did he become influential, but he became a really positive influence.
Yes, exactly. No, I agree with you. In the beginning of the series, no, obviously, I mean, great character. You did, you fell in love with him immediately, but he was not the best, morally speaking, character on the series. I mean, he wasn't on the level of Jaime and Cersei, obviously, but he was dubious. He was a dubious character that went through a lot of changes, and he got his redemption arc. I mean,
Yeah.
the redemption arc that we thought Jaime was going to have, he didn't really have it. In the end, Tyrion was the one that really got the redemption arc of the show. I mean, of all the characters, I think he was the one that got it and deserved it the most. I was rooting for him to make it to the end. I love Tyrion.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was happy with how he ended. And Davos, too.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how the fuck he
Yeah,
survived.
Davos surviving is I expected him to go with the in Winterfell actually. But yeah, that guy's got like more lives than a cat, man. I
Yes.
mean, he survived the Battle of Blackwater when his ship gets blown up.
Mm-hmm.
He survived the Battle of the Bastards,
Uh-huh.
survived Winterfell, and then he survived King's Landing as well. Well, actually, he wasn't at King's Landing, was
Yeah,
he?
he was.
He
He was.
was.
He even picked up
Yeah,
a sword, I
that's
think.
right. Yeah.
So he's a survivor, man. So I was happy for him. Again, a minor character but it's an enjoyable minor character. Every time he was
He
on
wasn't
screen.
that minor actually. He played a pretty big role throughout the series. It's just he was one of those characters that you never really got too invested in
Mm-hmm.
because you kind of expected him to wind up as fodder,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, he never did. So
No, he just stuck around, stuck around, stuck around, and again, like Tyrion, I think he got what he deserved, which was respect.
yeah,
And somebody, because he was wise counsel throughout the show. Not everybody listened to him, like not everybody would listen to Tyrion, but he ended up in a nice seat at the small council. Brienne, of course, was there as a knight, which was cool to see. She wrote something nice about Jamie in the book.
yes, yes. She filled out Jamie's entry in the Book of Great Deeds,
Yes,
and was discreet.
discreet.
Died saving his queen or protecting
Exactly.
his queen.
And who else was? Oh, Braun,
Braun
which
got
was
his
like,
castle. Braun got Highgarden.
yeah, and I guess that's why he makes it into the small council.
He's
But
not just into the small council. He's like the master
yeah,
of
Master of
coin.
Coins. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is his debt being paid off. But yeah, what an idiot. Yeah, that didn't sit too well with me. And who else was? Oh, and of course, Sam. Sam became a Meister,
Yeah.
which was cool, because that's what he wanted to be, and he brought out the Song of Ice and Fire book, which some people had theorized it was kind of going to be similar to Lord of the Rings, where Sam from Lord of the Rings is the one, or is it, no, Frodo, is it Sam or is it Frodo that write the book? Now I forget.
I have
Yeah, you're
no
not a
idea.
fan.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's Sam that writes the actual book, The Lord of the Rings, and it's that's how
Right.
it's passed down. But I might be wrong, so all you Tolkien
How
fanboys curse me
did
out
they ever
in the
explain
comments.
how Sam got out of the Night's Watch? Because they sent him to be a maester. They sent him to study to be
No,
a
I think
maester.
he just left because John let him. John let him go.
Right.
If I recall, that's what happened. It's like,
It's not really the way the Night's Watch works, though.
yeah,
It's
but
supposed to
with
be
John
for
in
life,
charge,
right?
he was just kind of like, whatever. I mean, I fucked the bitch.
Yeah.
And I think he needed. If I recall, I think John and him had a conversation. He said, "I need you to go down and find out how to beat these guys."
Right.
It was right after that whole what's that great episode? Hard Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right after Hard Home, and they come back and they're like, "Man, we need to figure out some way to beat these guys. Go south."
Yeah, but he's
Leave.
still like in the Night's Watch, right? So how he winds up on the small council, shouldn't he be going back to the wall?
I agree. Yeah, because the Night's Watch apparently still exists.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked to find that out.
Yeah, so who knows? I mean, I was just shocked like I said, when they were all there picking a new king, I was just shocked to see everybody there. I was like, huh? What are they doing there? And allowed to come in peacefully
Yeah.
into the city, but okay, whatever. So he's a Meister, but okay. Again, happy for him. Happy endings, by the way.
Yeah,
For
I think everybody but John got a happy end, and Daenerys.
well, we'll get to John. I
Yeah.
kind of disagree. I think John got a really great ending. I think that was my favorite ending of all of them. But Daenerys obviously did not get a happy ending. But for me, it was well resolved. It wasn't anything shocking about this ending. It was very resolved, and everybody, even what's his name, the Podrick,
Yeah,
became a
Podrick.
knight.
Yeah, Podrick became a knight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't actually make it clear who the commander of the city watch is, but it's kind of implied that it's him.
Mm.
Could be
Yeah.
Brienne. I
Yeah,
don't know.
could be
She is
Brienne.
on the small council.
Yeah, she's on the small council, so I figured it would be her. And then Bran comes in and does nothing, just says
Yeah.
some shit like, we're missing this and we're missing that and goodbye.
No, he goes to look for the dragon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, whatever. What? Bran is the king. What the fuck? Anyway, um, and so now what do we got? More resolutions here. The Starks resolution. Okay, so now we're gonna
Yes.
get to the Starks resolutions. The it skips up north. Sansa becomes Queen of the North.
Yes, Sansa is Queen of the North.
Again, no surprise
Yeah,
there.
well
Good,
deserved.
well deserved. Happy ending for her, and she's able to free the North from the Seven
Yes.
Kingdoms, which is awesome.
Yeah, benefits of having your brother for the king.
Yes, so she gets to be free up there. So okay, happy for her. Arya goes east.
Yes, Arya goes where no woman has gone
Yeah,
before.
no woman or man. I don't know who goes
Yeah.
east in Westeros. I don't know. I keep forgetting that there's an east. Because Westeros, it's Westeros, but it's by the ocean, and there's more ocean to the west.
Yeah.
I always figured, okay, they're gonna explore out west, ocean wise, like the fucking just like in real history, like
Right.
the going out to the new world. But she's going east. She's uh, going to China,
Yeah.
and find out what's over there, which is cool. I could definitely see, which I doubt they'll do, but I could see an Arya spin-off. That would
Yeah.
be pretty cool. Just the Arya adventures out in the east.
Yeah, she gets what she always wanted, a life of adventure.
Exactly. So again, happy endings, and which brings up a point before we get to John. Because, Martin himself said it's going to be a bittersweet ending. The writer said the ending's bittersweet. For me, there was nothing bittersweet about it. I mean, okay, unless you were really, really invested in the John Daenerys love story, which I wasn't. I thought that
Right.
was shoehorned in season 7. Like, what? Like, one minute they're like not trusting each other, and the next minute they're doing it. So it wasn't bittersweet to me. It was just like what was gonna happen. There was nothing about this episode that made me go, "Oh, too bad," but great at the same time. Nobody really lost anything. I mean, again, if unless you're invested in the John, and obviously he had the biggest loss of all the characters. Um, I mean, Tyrion lost Cersei and Jaime, but they were fucking assholes. So I don't know. There was nothing bittersweet about it. So let's get to John. John
Yeah.
goes north.
Well, first of all, yeah, John, the compromise they reach with the Unsullied is that John goes right back where he started and has to go back to the Night's Watch. I mean, first of all, like John, John's like, there's still a Night's Watch, and I was thinking the same thing too. It's like, I thought the Night's Watch was pretty much finished when the dragon took down the wall at the end of season 7. But apparently they're still around, and the series begins with John joining the Night's Watch. And even though that's for life because he died and came back to life, he's basically free of his vows. He gets to move on past that. But in the end, he winds up right back where he started. And keep in mind, he quit the Night's Watch because they fucking assassinated him. And he's just like, fuck you guys. So I don't think that was a very happy ending for John. I think, after he was free of the Night's Watch, he was thinking, well, if we get through the White Walkers, I might actually have a chance at a normal life. But no, he's basically back where he started. And yeah, I felt it was a fitting end in terms of like where the direction of the story, but you kind of wanted something happier for the character, I guess. The happiest thing for him is he gets reunited with his fucking dog, but which a lot of people were upset about, man. The internet haters
Yes.
flipped over the fact that he gave his
I-
dog away.
And he didn't pet the dog. I think they got upset that he didn't even say goodbye to the dog, which was kind of weird. He just
Yeah.
was like, take him up north, and he didn't even like give him a little goodbye pat on the back. Well, see, I took it the wrong way. Obviously, it was, a different way, I should say. Obviously, upsetting that he would have to go up to the Night's Watch, but as soon as they went up there, I was like, I know who's gonna be up at that castle, and it was our Redbeard. What's his name?
Torment.
It was Torment, and the minute I saw it, I was like, this is the best ending for John, because he's got the North in his blood, just like Torment said in that
Right.
episode, where he's like, man, You should go up with us to the north. You got the north in your blood. And saw it as he didn't stay at Castle Black. He went up north with them. Like they all were waiting for him. Maybe they had taken over Castle Black. I didn't really catch exactly
Yeah, I wasn't
what
sure.
had
Is
happened.
Tormund a member of the Night's Watch? Because that would be pretty weird after all of the time you
Exactly.
spent making fun
Yeah,
of
they
him.
didn't explain that too well. Like, what were they doing there? Did they lie about the Night's Watch still existing just to get him up there? I don't know. That part didn't make much sense. But I was so happy. And like as soon as the gate was open, we were watching. I told Pete, I was like, I knew he was gonna be up there, and there he was. So for me, it was a happy ending for John. Like he gets to just be free. He gets to be, because he does have the North in his blood, like the real North, as
Yeah.
they say. And he just goes out. And I felt the same way about the Arya ending, which I mean, for me, it wasn't as emotional as the John ending, but the John ending actually got me a little emotional in thinking about the adventures of John out in the north. Although, I mean, with no more,
There's no White
there's
Walkers.
no
They're at
White
peace with the
Walkers. Yeah,
wildlings.
so
So
they're just gonna freeze their asses off up there.
yeah,
But which I always wonder, like, what do they eat? Like, what? There's nothing up there. There's no vegetation that I ever saw. There's no. Well, there's that bear, right? That it had turned into a zombie bear. So I guess
right.
there's some animals or something up there. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I was happy with the John ending. I liked it. I thought it was just, and it was kind of poetic that he found his true people, because he was never. I don't know if John ever felt like he was part of any of the stuff that was going on in the South, even South meaning Winterfell.
Oh,
Um,
he's a perpetual outsider. I mean,
yeah,
he grows up as an outsider in Winterfell because he's Ned's bastard and
hmm
Catelyn hates him.
yeah,
They hate him in the Night's Watch because he comes from a life of privilege and they're all a
yeah,
bunch of low lives. Of course, they hate him in the Wildlings because he's an ex-crow.
hmm
When he becomes Lord Commander, he completely divides the Night's Watch by trying to make peace with the Wildlings. So yeah, he never really finds his place, and I don't know that at the end I felt like he seemed very resigned to his fate. It's not like he was remote. He didn't seem remotely happy about it.
Oh, I see. I read it completely the opposite. I thought he felt like he found his people, because exactly what you said. He was always an outsider, except that the Wildlings completely accepted him
Yeah,
at the end, and they were, because of the fact that he died for them. He
yeah,
died protecting them, so they were 100% behind Jon Snow. So much so that they fought at the Battle of the Bastards for him.
hmm
And Tormund is the one that gave that speech. He's like, this motherfucker died for us,
yeah,
and so we are willing to fight for him at the Battle of the Bastards, which they had nothing. I mean, they had zero reason to fight that battle.
right,
Obviously, they fought at the battle at Winterfell, but that was, they had to fight that battle because it affected them directly. So, I mean, it was a great juxtaposition between Sansa walking down and all the people kind of hailing her as queen, and when John was walking down too, and he was flanked, by the wildlings, and they didn't, they're not into kings and queens, so they weren't gonna like King of the North or anything like that.
right,
But you could see the respect on their face for this guy, Jon
right,
Snow. So here he was in a place where he could actually have the respect that he deserves,
right.
and with people that he enjoys on some level, and just kind of going out on an adventure. So I read it differently. I thought that for me, that was the best of the character endings. I mean, I liked where Tyrion ended up, and okay, cool that Sansa got her thing, Arya got her thing. But the only one that got me a little bit emotional this episode, because there really were no surprises this episode. I mean, everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah,
But the one that kind of got me a little, not misty-eyed, but I was like, oh, that's nice, was John riding off into the north with his fellow brethren. And what do you call the sisters? Are they sisterins?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they don't have the female brethren, the brethren in the women. Anyway, so I liked it. I liked that ending for him. So, all right, we're hitting the 1 hour mark. So let's give our final thoughts on this episode and maybe the series as a whole. What do you give? What is the your rating?
I'd give this one about an 8 out of 10.
Hmm.
It,
Lowest of all the episodes this season.
yeah, yeah, because I mean, by this time, pretty much everything was done. They just needed to wrap up like one major issue and give everyone an ending.
What was the
And
major issue they need to wrap up?
Daenerys,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was bound to be anticlimactic, but I mean, eight. That's still. I mean, it was still awesome. I enjoyed it. It was a fitting ending, and I can make minor complaints, but that's really all they are, minor complaints. I enjoyed it a lot.
Cool. Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'd give it an. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't go as far down as into the seven range, but like maybe a 7.8, 7.9. But eight seems about fair. Like you said, anticlimactic. Obviously, they had a lot of stuff to tie up, but I thought they tied it up well.
Yeah, it
Considering.
felt like the end.
Yeah, it
I mean,
definitely felt like yeah.
there are times when you're watching the end of a season or a series, and even if you didn't know that was the final episode, you can tell it's like okay, it's reached the natural conclusion. There's nowhere for it to go from here.
Hmm.
This is the end, and yeah, they gave it a very definitive ending.
I like that, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Beverly, which it was her birthday, by the
Yes,
way.
happy birthday,
Happy
Beverly.
birthday! She's a huge fan of Game of Thrones, and it was funny because a couple months ago I was talking to her about Game of Thrones, and she was like, "Oh, I hope that he gets this and she gets that," and it made me think a little bit differently because everybody's like, "Who's gonna die and who's gonna
Right.
cut? Who's gonna stab who in the back?" And I thought, hey, why don't we get it? I mean, why don't we deserve to have a happy ending? And if it's well done, I got nothing against a happy ending at all. I think if it's well done, I mean, Spielberg does it all the time, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're a little too happy, but okay.
I think happy ending is a matter of perspective. Like I
Hmm.
know for a fact Amelia Clark hated the ending,
Of
but
course.
obviously she's like her character's number one fan, so
Yes.
that's
Yes.
understandable.
Yes. Um, but yeah, well resolved. Like with no, it was a lot. Well, not a lot less. There was like zero, other than obviously John stabbing Daenerys. But there was a little shock, little bit. There was zero conniving and
Right.
backstabbing and politicking. It was just look. This is the natural place where these characters belong. Uh, and more or less all of them got quote unquote happy endings other than Daenerys. I mean, you may disagree with John, but I thought his ending was like a happy ending for him, finding his people. So that's why I'm giving a shout out to Beverly. You were right, Beverly. It was nice to have a good positive feeling at the end for a lot of these characters in Westeros in general going forward. And we talked a little bit at the beginning about the series as a whole, but just some final thoughts on the series as a whole. It was a great journey.
Yes.
I started watching a little bit late. I think I got into it when it was on season 5, and I binge watched seasons 1 through 4 because I have a friend that just kept insisting that you're gonna love this show, you're gonna love this show, and I definitely did. I definitely did. Great fun. I've seen it all the way through twice.
Okay.
I'm doing a rewatch with my little bro, and we just finished season 6, so I'm probably gonna watch 7 and 8 very shortly. Again, and my little cousin likes it too. So when he gets over here for vacation, I'm probably gonna watch season 8 again. See if I feel the same way about it. But overall, yeah, there's not much you can say bad about Game of Thrones. It was a game changer. It beautifully put together. Never made me emotional, crying or anything at any moment. Like it didn't touch me that deeply, like maybe the X Files does, or even
Okay.
Star Trek. It's not like
All right.
that passion for me. Because again, like I said to you, I'm not a huge fan of fantasy stuff, and I thought
Yeah.
sometimes I went too far into the fantasy stuff. But I can't say I didn't love this. So it's
I'm not
sad
a
to see it
fantasy
go.
fan either, really, and that's actually the remarkable thing about how much I like this show because it's not the sort of thing that I'm normally all that into. Like I'm not a Tolkien fan, and I'm not a fan of the whole.
C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, no, not really. But I mean, this show they really downplayed the fantasy elements. Like, okay, there were dragons and there were giants and there was magic, but that wasn't the central aspect. Most of the conflict was like old school medieval warfare.
Mm-hmm.
They really only used the more supernatural elements when necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's what made it work for me, because I don't think I could deal with uh, those green children, whatever the fuck they were, and White Walkers the whole time. But then again, it was so well put. The way it was sprinkled in was so well done that it never felt like it turned into 100% Lord of the Rings territory. So credit to the writers for that. So that's it, guys. We reached the 1 hour mark. We're
Yeah,
good, man.
yeah,
We always go at exactly an hour, which is
yeah,
great.
perfect.
So thank you again, everybody that listened. Moving ahead, I mean, I still write for my blog, and so you get some stuff about my life down here in Brazil and some stuff we watch just in general. And I'll talk to Pete, man. Maybe like once a month or twice a month, we can get together and just do a podcast on like what we've been watching, what we've been reading, give people some what do you call those? Recommendations,
Sure.
suggestions. I think that'll be fun. If we're all survive, if Pete survives for another month.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see what
Yeah.
happens.
But that's it. Thanks. Follow us, like and subscribe. Fear the Walking Dead is coming back on. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen with that show, because I did think it got a lot better after season 3. Have you seen Fear the Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Season 3 was unbelievable, man. I mean, season 4 was good. I didn't watch the rest of it yet. I know a lot of people said it fell off after the mid-season.
Yeah, they killed off Kim Dickens, which was pretty
No, I
shitty.
got that far. I got all the way to the mid-season finale, and then there was this episode where there was a storm, and then
Right.
I didn't watch any after that. And a lot of the fans said, "Man, it started out so strong, and then it kind of fizzled out."
Yeah, it was anticlimactic after season 3. I thought the season 3 finale was one of the best episodes
Oh
in,
my
in the
god!
history of the
I
franchise.
thought the whole season 3 was the best season
Yeah.
in the whole history of the franchise. I
Yeah.
thought it was fucking incredible. But it seems like there. I mean, what's his name? The guy with the crossbow, not Daryl, but the one that's actually in the comic book with the burned face. Forgot his name now, but he's gonna show up in Fear the Walking Dead. He's gonna, because he at the end of the Negan stuff, I think he was told to get the fuck out of town,
Right.
and he's gonna be in there with Morgan, obviously, and we'll see where it goes. I saw the promo for it. It looked like they're trying to pump new life into that show. So yeah, I don't want to go on about The Walking Dead, but we will try to stay on the air and give you some other content to entertain you. Goodbye, guys.
Cheers. Thanks for listening.
Yes, and hopefully we're here communally praying that George R. R. Martin doesn't die in the next.
Apparently the books are mostly finished.
Oh, okay. I hear stories both ways.
Yeah.
Because a friend of ours, Justin, posted something on a Game of Thrones spoiler group that said that he doesn't have any of it finished.
Huh.
So who knows? He's got to write 2 books, right?
Yeah, 2 books.
And he's like 70 and fat.
Yeah.
All right.
And living the life, too.
And living a life. All right. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully he left at least like an outline somewhere where it shows where exactly he wanted to end these books. But all right. See you guys. Good night. Bye.
Okay, cheers.